Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Medical cases of zombies. Zombies may be a whole lot closer to destroying humanity than most people realize. In 2014, research from the John Innes Centre in Norwich, UK, discovered a certain bacteria that was able to turn plants into zombies. This bacteria is known as phytoplasma, and it can affect ordinary plants like yellow flowers in a very peculiar way. The bacteria infects the plant and makes it grow extra leafy appendages instead of normal flowery blooms. These leaves then attract more insects than usual, who then become infected with the bacteria and spread it to other plants. The plant doesn't technically die, but it does become brain dead, or as brain dead as a plant can be. Its life cycle is severely disturbed, and its only purpose suddenly becomes to infect other plants. That's why scientists are calling this the zombie bacteria. It's unclear what kind of consequences a bacteria like this moving into human hosts could have. But this isn't the only case in nature of zombies being made through viruses. Researchers at the University of British Columbia made a shocking discovery in the Ecuadorian jungle of a wasp able to manipulate spiders through a zombie-like infection. The wasp lays an egg in the abdomen of the spider, and when that egg hatches and the larva emerges, it begins feeding on the spider from the inside. The larva takes total control over the spider's body and uses it like a puppet. It will force the spider to do its bidding, eventually eating the spider's brains and emerging as a fully grown wasp. Number 9. The 2031 Comet. The world might just be coming to an end in 2031. In 2022, NASA reported the discovery of a huge comet barreling towards our planet at lightning speed. The comet is called Bernardinelli-Bernstein, and NASA says it's the biggest one in our solar system. It was first identified by scientists in 2014, and since then, they've been keeping a watchful eye on it. Scientists believe there is a very real chance that it could impact Earth. If that happens, it would be like the extinction of the dinosaurs all over again. What we know about the comet is that it takes roughly 3 million years to circle the sun, moving in a consistent elliptical orbit. As of right now, the comet is making its way through the Oort cloud toward Earth and the sun at a blistering speed. It's about twice the width of Rhode Island, and so it would cause utter devastation if it hit. Just like what happened to the dinosaurs, the comet would send dust and debris into the atmosphere. It would trigger earthquakes and volcanoes, and the world could be plunged into centuries of cold and darkness. All living organisms would most likely perish, except maybe rats, cockroaches, and crocodiles. All we can do right now is hold our breath and hope the comet passes us by without hitting our world like a nuclear missile from space. Number 8. The cold core. A recent discovery by scientists is sending some into a frantic panic. Professor Motohiko Murakami and other experts from Carnegie Institution for Science discovered that the core of our planet is getting colder. That's a huge deal, and something that could end our existence. The thing about our planet is that 4.5 billion years ago, it was covered in a sea of magma. It took millions of years for that hot red magma to cool and form a crust. That crust is now what we live on, the hard surface beneath our very feet. But within that crust is the core, which is made partly of scorching liquid iron. Ever since the crust formed around the hot inner core of the Earth billions of years ago, the core has been slowly releasing heat. This slow release of heat is what drives tectonic events like earthquakes, and what's responsible for volcanoes. Volcanoes and earthquakes may be scary, but they are not nearly as scary as what happens if the core cools. Researchers use sophisticated measuring tools to look at the thermal conductivity of our planet and found it to be 1.5 times higher than what they expected. What this means is that the heat flow from the core into the mantle and then higher up into the crust is a lot stronger than what scientists previously thought. In other words, the Earth is cooling faster than anyone could have imagined. When the core cools down too much, the whole planet will become a barren wasteland, just like Mars. And when that happens, anything still alive on Earth will be toast. Number 7. Toxic mold. Toxic slime molds have been oozing around on our planet for about 100 million years, and many of these slimy growths are wildly intelligent. A shocking new fossil recently revealed that a Cretaceous slime mold was not only intelligent, but it also looked exactly like the slime molds still around today. What this means is that long before the age of the dinosaurs, slime molds have been some of the smartest organisms on the planet. Also, they haven't changed much since. These brainless blobs are able to solve mazes. They can remember and adapt, and they look like nothing but piles of slimy mucus. So how could slimy mucus bring about the end of humanity? The answer is that it could one day overwhelm everything. Slime mold can be found all over the place, growing in people's gardens and stuck to the sides of trees. It's not much of a danger right now. It's not considered toxic, and it's not even a fungi. Slime mold is a type of amoeba, but they grow and spread very quickly and have the capability of becoming some of the largest organisms in the world. There are some who worry that one day, these weird slime molds will figure out how to grow and spread at an unprecedented rate, swallowing everything in nature and taking over the world. Have you ever seen weird slime like this anywhere? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Number 6. The Plague of WETA. New Zealand has a very peculiar bug that could be disastrous for humanity. There are 70 species of WETA in New Zealand. These strange little creatures are quite similar to long-horned grasshoppers and crickets, but they are not the same thing. The WETA is large, heavy, and covered in sharp spines. These jumbo-sized crickets are nocturnal, and they have powerful enough mandibles that one bite can cause significant pain for a human. They can even scratch with their legs, and those scratches are known to get infected. If that happens, a person could be in for some serious trouble. They aren't poisonous, but they are some of the peskiest insects found in New Zealand. There's one thing in particular that scientists discovered about the WETA, something you might be very interested in. The mountain stone WETA has special proteins that stop ice crystals from forming within its own cells. What this means is that the WETA can be frozen solid in a state of suspended animation. In sub-zero temperatures, the WETA goes into stasis. There's a possibility that other similar creatures have the same ability. We just don't know about it. One animal people are particularly fearful of are locusts. If it turns out the locust, which looks a lot like a WETA with wings, has the ability to freeze itself, that could spell disaster. Some fear there's a whole army of crop-ravaging insects still hidden under hundreds of feet of frozen ice, and that one day they will emerge and wreak havoc on humanity. Number 5. Greenland Aliens. An unusually large, unidentified flying object has recently been spotted in Greenland. Conspiracy theorists believe the UFO crashed millions of years ago, and that one day soon, the aliens are going to come back for it. The discovery was made thanks to Google Maps. Curious and concerned alien enthusiasts were looking through satellite images when they noticed a buried object underneath Greenland's ice. The object clearly looks like some kind of ship. It's a weird triangular shape, and you can even see the cockpit at the front of the vessel. Unfortunately, the UFO was discovered embedded in what appeared to be an iceberg floating right beside Greenland. And for this reason, it's not like ordinary citizens with cameras can go out and investigate. The only organization with the resources to pull a UFO out of an iceberg near the tip of the world is the government. If the government does indeed secure themselves a frozen UFO, it's not like they're going to tell everyone about it. The truly terrifying part about the discovery, assuming it's real, is that the UFO had likely been frozen for millions of years. It must have crashed a very long time ago, then was buried in the ice. That means that our world could be in danger of more UFOs showing up in the future, potentially with sinister intentions. Number 4. The God Particle. In 2012, physicists discovered something called the Higgs boson, aka the God Particle. It was considered such an impossible discovery that Stephen Hawking once made a bet of $100 that the God Particle would never be found. When it was found, Stephen Hawking made a dire warning to humanity. He said the discovery of the God particle could be the undoing of the entire universe. It's the Higgs boson doomsday theory, and Stephen Hawking was not the only scientist who believed the discovery of the particle was a big mistake. Other scientists, such as theoretical physicist Joseph Licken with the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory in Illinois, agree. Joseph says it probably won't happen anytime soon, but it is a possibility. If you're not sure what the Higgs boson is, don't worry. It's kind of confusing. In simple terms, it's a particle that scientists say governs the very building blocks of matter itself. The particle is so important to the standard model of particle physics that researchers believe it has revealed something known as the Higgs field, an invisible field of energy all around us, and filling in all other particles with mass. One day, experiments involving the God particle could cause a quantum fluctuation to create a vacuum that will expand and gobble up the entire universe. Think of it like a black hole, starting out as the size of an atom, and then growing until it sucked in all matter in existence. Number 3. Thawing plagues. The consequence of climate change isn't just longer and hotter summers, bigger hurricanes, and apocalyptic crop failures. It also means new plagues being released from the permafrost and spreading through the human population. Nowhere is the effect of climate change more dramatic than at the North Pole. In the Arctic polar region, things are really starting to heat up. Arctic sea ice is shrinking each summer. Greenland has become unstable, and all of this ice is melting into the ocean. As that happens, new and exciting things are found in the permafrost. By permafrost, I mean the layer of frozen soil that's been kept in a block of ice for tens of thousands of years. The permafrost still covers about 25% of the northern hemisphere, and it functions like an open-air refrigerator. Everything in the soil has been kept frozen solid, including things like mammoth bones and microbes that could kill us all. Unfortunately, it's already happening. In August of 2016, there was an outbreak of anthrax in Siberia. 72 people became sick, and one person was killed. When health officials began their investigation, they tracked the outbreak to the frozen corpse of a reindeer. It had been stuck in the permafrost, but then thawed, and the previously frozen anthrax was released on the local people. Number 2. The Taupo Volcano. In September of 2022, scientists in New Zealand increased the alert level from 0 to 1 for their famous giant volcano. You know, the one responsible for one of the largest explosions of the past 5,000 years. It's called the Taupo Volcano, and it erupted 1,800 years ago in a truly spectacular fashion. It released dust, ash, and volcanic debris into the atmosphere with such force that the sun was obscured, and a huge part of New Zealand was obliterated. Scientists believed the world was plunged into darkness for some time. There was famine, pestilence, and violence broke out everywhere. If such an eruption were to occur today, humanity could be destroyed. There are already issues with food shortages, with humanity already standing on the brink of disaster. If this volcano explodes again and the sky turns black, we could find ourselves at the end. It's not a guaranteed thing that this will happen, but scientists did make a terrifying discovery before they changed the alert level. The geological agency GeoNet discovered 700 small earthquakes happening underneath the volcano in rapid succession. This usually signals volcanic activity, which is why New Zealand changed the alert level. There are still 5 more levels before the imminent eruption, but researchers say things can change rapidly at any time. Number 1. The Doomsday Glacier. There is something horrifying happening at the polar opposite end of the world in Antarctica. The Doomsday Glacier, the one with enough ice to dramatically raise sea levels and cause global catastrophes, is hanging on by its fingernails. It's called the Thwaites Glacier, and scientists from the University of South Florida say it's on the verge of mass destruction. These scientists recently discovered that over the past 200 years, the base of the glacier has gradually dislodged from the seabed and retreated at roughly 1 mile each year. That's roughly twice the rate that scientists had anticipated. And in other words, the glacier is closer to its death than anyone could have imagined. Researchers say the glacier is at the end of its rope, and that we will see huge changes happening over small amounts of time in the near future. If the glacier totally collapses, sea level could be raised by about 16 feet. And while that may not mean the end of all humanity, over 1 billion lives could potentially be lost. And on that note, thanks for watching! How do you think the world is going to end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!